What's up, guys? So in today's video, I want to show you 5 mistakes that I made that kept me from making faster progress with my physique. So here on the left, you see I'm 18 years old here, very skinny before I even got started lifting at all, clearly no muscle in my body. And 6 years later here, 24 years old, gained significantly more muscle, about 40 pounds of muscle built over those 6 years. But I made a bunch of mistakes along this journey and along the transformation that prevented me from making a lot of progress. If I knew what I know now, I would have been able to make this transformation in about 3 years and half the time. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I'm going to teach you the 5 mistakes that I made that were the biggest mistakes, and hopefully that you can learn from these mistakes, not make them your own, and that way you can make more progress and faster progress than I did. So number one is I did not have any clear direction, right? I had a very generic basic goal, and it was just to build more muscle and build a better physique, right? I had no specific goal at all. So I need to get specific. What do you really want? What kind of goal do you really want? Do you want to gain 20 pounds of muscle and look like a bodybuilder, or look like a superhero, or look like an actor that you aspire to look like? Like, make it very specific. What muscles do you want to look big? Do you want your chest to be big? You want your legs to be big? You want your arms to be big? Make it very specific like that, right? Why do you want this goal as well, right? What will having a bigger chest and bigger shoulders and bigger arms and bigger legs, what will that do for you, right? Why do you actually want to achieve this said goal? And how do you plan on achieving the goal, right? I had no plan on how I was going to achieve this goal. Like, when I was here on the left, I was just saying to myself, I'm just going to go to the gym now. Like, that was my whole plan, right? And that's not really a good plan. You need to have an actual structured out plan of how you're going to actually take necessary steps to get one step closer each and every day towards your goal. Number two is having poor nutrition. Now, this is a mistake that most people make, especially early on in their fitness journey. But the biggest thing was, I had this mentality that I could out-train a bad diet. I truly believed that as long as I went to the gym 5 or 6 days a week and I trained really hard, it didn't really matter what foods I ate. And initially, when you're really, really young, you're 18 years old, and you start lifting weights, you get these things called newbie gains, which is just because your body is not used to lifting weights at all, that you just put on muscle effortlessly. Some people more than others, but eventually it gets to a point where those newbie gains are no longer a thing, and your diet really does play a massive role in how much muscle you can build. So eventually, I'll show you a picture later here in these slideshows that is me 1 year into lifting. But after that first year, after I made a little bit of progress, I didn't make that much progress for the next couple of years because my diet was very, very bad. I wasn't getting enough protein to build muscle as well. And protein is absolutely essential if you want to build muscle, right? When you're eating fast food and you're eating processed food all the time, which I was when I was in college, I was not getting enough protein in, and this was really preventing me on how much muscle I could build. Also, when your nutrition's not good, your workouts aren't going to be good, right? You need the right amount of food, and you need the right foods to actually make sure that your workouts are actually good. You need to make sure you're getting enough carbs before your workout and after your workouts so that your workouts can actually be effective, right? If you're not eating the right foods, you're not mentally going to be there. I felt very, very sluggish. I was eating, like I said, a bunch of fast food, and this was making me feel very sluggish. I wasn't getting enough healthy fats, which make you feel good, and I wasn't getting the right amount of micronutrients that you get from fruits and vegetables because I wasn't eating those things. I was eating a bunch of fast food and processed foods and, Oreos and ice cream and all this bullshit. And then physically, I never felt 100% either because I wasn't getting the right amount of foods either. So not only did I not feel good mentally or physically, my workouts weren't good, and I just didn't have the right mentality because of the nutrition, right? But as soon as I started realizing how important nutrition really was for my progress, I started to see significant progress in my physique. I started focusing heavily on whole foods, so lean meats, whole grains, healthy fats, fruits and vegetables. I started primarily eating that stuff. 90% of my diet started to become whole foods, and that's how it is now. What I started to see is I was eating more protein. More protein means you're going to start building more muscle. My workout started to be way more effective because I was eating more carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates, whole grains before and after my workouts. I had way more energy. I was way more mentally clear. And overall, I was just way healthier. I felt a lot better, right? Physically felt a lot better. Mentally felt a lot better. So nutrition, do not underestimate it. It is super important if you want to build the best physique possible and make the most amount of progress. Number 3 was I was not training optimally. So on the left here is a picture of me when I was 1 year into lifting, right? So obviously I've built some muscle along the way, as you can clearly see from those first couple of pictures, but I was not making much progress past this physique over the next couple of years. And it was a lot because I was not eating right, but it also was because I wasn't training right, right? I was never taking any days off. I felt like I had to go to the gym every single day or else I was not going to see as much progress. I always thought that more was always better, but that is also not true at all. I was doing way too much volume. I was going to the gym every single day. I was doing about 8 exercises every single workout, and I was doing 4 sets of 12 reps for every single set. So I was doing about 32 sets per session, which is insane. And I thought that 4 sets of 12 was some magical rep range that you should be doing, and sets and reps that you should be doing, because I would see these guys online that had really, really good physique, and I aspired to look like them. And I thought, oh, just because they're posting about this and they're doing it, it must work. But what I shortly and quickly found out afterwards was that is just not the truth at all. So what I do now and how I was able to start making progress like this was I started to prioritize intensity, form, and recovery. So when it comes to intensity, I was beforehand, I was just focused on getting the numbers. I was trying to get 4 sets of 12. That's all I was really focused on. But now I focus more on a rep range. So I'll aim for 8 to 10 reps, and I'll focus on intensity. So I'm trying to get as many reps as possible to failure. So if I'm pushing a weight and I'm getting 8, if I can get 9, I'm going for 9. I'm going to try for 10. If I can't get 10, then I reach failure. That's how you train. That's how you train to failure. That's how you train with intensity. You don't train to a specific number. You train until you can't do another rep. And when I started to do that, I started to see significantly more progress. But what happens is when you train with this type of intensity, you're not able to do as many sets and as many exercises because it's too taxing on your body. So I actually lowered the volume. Instead of doing too much volume, I was now cutting my workouts essentially in half. I was doing about, now I do about 4 to 5 exercises per workout, do about 2 to 3 exercises per or 2 to 3 sets per exercise, and I take all of those sets to failure, and that has allowed me to make significant more progress. Additionally, when I was going here before, the first couple of years I was lifting, I was going to the gym for an hour and a half to 2 hours per session. Now I'm going about 45 minutes. So my workouts are legitimately half the time. I'm in the gym half the amount of time than I was beforehand, and I'm making way more progress. So it's kind of a win-win, if you will. So definitely focus on prioritizing intensity. Next is prioritizing form, right? This should be the first thing that you should be doing, is you should be prioritizing your form, making sure your form is absolutely perfect. Here, I was just trying to increase the weights each time I was in the gym, even if my form got worse. And in reality, you need to make sure your form is absolutely perfect and then focus on increasing the weights, increasing the reps slowly over time. And lastly was recovery. I wasn't taking any days off here, and this really prevented me from really making muscle or building muscle, because what you need to understand is that you're not building muscle in the gym. You're building muscle when you're recovering. So if you're not letting your body rest enough in between each workout, you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to be building as much muscle. Your body needs to recover and actually build muscle on those days off and while you're sleeping, so that you can properly be healed enough so that you can train hard again the next session, right? So now I take about 2 days off per week from the gym, and I'm trying to prioritize as best as possible to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, because that is the way you're going to be fully recovered. Number 4 is not tracking progress, and this is something that so many people don't do, and it is tremendously this is one of the most important ones. Is if you don't track your progress, you don't even know if you're making any progress, right? So here on the left, when I was first starting, I had no training plan. Like I said before, I would go into the gym and I would have no idea what exercises, what workout I was going to be doing. I would just go in and be like, okay, today I feel like training chest, so I'm going to train chest. And I would just pick out, 8 exercises that I wanted to do that day for chest and triceps, and I would just do that. And I would have no idea what I did the prior workout. I had no idea how many sets I did last week, how many reps I did last week, what weights I used last week, and that prevented me to just stay in the exact same spot for months and months and months, and even years at that point, right? I also didn't track my calories and macros. So I had the goal of wanting to gain weight and build a better physique because I was really skinny. I wanted to gain weight, but I had no idea how many calories I needed to eat in order to gain weight. I had no idea how many calories I was eating currently. I was switching every single day, and I wasn't even sure. At this point, I didn't even know what macros were, but I had no idea how much protein I needed. I didn't know how many carbs I needed. I didn't know how much fats I needed in order to build the best physique possible. So I had no idea, what I needed to do in order to actually make progress. So once I found out about the importance of actually tracking everything, started tracking all my workouts. So I would write down on an app every single week, every single workout that I would do. I would write out every set, every exercise, every rep, and the weight I was using. So that the next week when I would go in, I could look back at that prior workout and say, okay, I did this amount of weight. I did 3 sets and I did 10 reps, 9 reps, 8 reps. This week, I'm going to try to go 11, 10, 9. Try to make a little bit of progress each week. Maybe it's increasing the weights by 5 pounds, or maybe it's just trying to increase the weights or increase the reps by 1 rep. Doesn't really matter, but I was making sure that I was increasing somewhere each week. That's otherwise known as progressive overload. So when you're not tracking your workouts, you have no idea if you're going to be, you don't know if you're increasing the reps each week. You don't know if you're increasing the weight each week. So that's why you really need to make sure you're tracking your workouts, because you could go, and trust me, this is what I did. I would go months and months and months using the exact same weight because I didn't know that I was using that same weight. I didn't know the importance of I needed to increase each week. So you need to make sure you're tracking each and every week. And you can use your phone, you can use an app, you can use your notes app, you can use a notepad, whatever it is, whatever works best for you. Just track your progress. Number 2 was before I wasn't tracking my calories and macros, but now I started to notice that I needed to, in order to gain weight, I needed to eat more calories than I was currently eating. So I needed to figure out how many calories I was eating per day that was keeping me in the same weight. And I just needed to start eating more calories. And I started consistently hitting the specific amount of calories that my body specifically needed. I figured out what my macros should be. So I was focusing on eating more protein, eating the right amount of carbs at the right amount at the right times, getting enough healthy fats in. And once I started doing all these things, I started to build more muscle, have more energy, feel a lot better. Next up was tracking steps, right? When you're trying to gain weight, this isn't as important, but if you're trying to lean out and get a little bit leaner, tracking your steps is really important. This is a super easy thing you can do, is just getting more steps. It's not very fatiguing. And if you can get 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day, you're going to be burning more calories just by walking a little bit extra, and that can help you build a better physique. So tracking steps is super easy. You can track your steps by a step counter, your Apple Watch, whatever it is. Super easy to do, and it can definitely make a lot of progress for you. And then lastly was tracking my weight daily. Some people have a very they don't like to track their weight every single day because it's very discouraging for them. But the fact is, when you track your weight every single day, it builds a really good habit of just starting the day off by tracking something. But also, if you track your weight every single day for 2 weeks and you don't see any progress, just from that data point that you need to increase your calories if you want to gain weight, right? If you are gaining weight, what you're doing is working, then you just keep doing what you're doing. So it's very important to track your weight, making sure you're actually seeing progress, because if you don't weigh yourself and you go months and months without weighing yourself, and then you just imagine you're going to the gym, all the time, every single week, you're trying to eat better food, but you're not tracking your weight. You could go months and months and months and weigh the exact same. Meanwhile, you think that you're gaining weight, but you're not. You could be staying the exact same. So you need to weigh yourself, make sure you're actually going in the right direction. All right, and number 5 is this is a kind of a different one than the ones I was kind of listing before, but this is more of a mentality. But it's not. I didn't have the ability to say no, right? On this picture on the left, when I was in college, throughout my entire 4 years in college, I fell into peer pressure. And I think a lot of people can really relate to that. But anytime people would want to go out and have fast food, or anytime that they wanted to go out and go to a party and get drunk or go to the bars or anything like that, if I was the only one who didn't want to do that, I found myself, even if I wanted to say no because of my goals, a lot of times I would say yes just because everyone else was doing it. So I would fall into the peer pressure of having cheat meals and eating off my meal plan and not tracking my food and not eating the chicken and rice that I made beforehand. And I would skip the gym to go out and party and ruin the progress I was really making because, you know, is going out and having fun and eating cheat meals bad every single time? No, obviously. And here's the thing. If you want to say yes to those things, by all means do that. But the problem arises when you want to say no because of your goals, but you still say yes to those people and to those things because of the peer pressure and not having the ability to say no, right? So once you build and gain the ability to start saying no because your goals mean that much to you, you have now built discipline. You're going to do the things that you need to do regardless of how you feel. And when you have that discipline, you start seeing better results. When you start saying, and then also when you start saying no to other people, first off, what you have to understand is when you have goals of trying to improve your physique, you are different than other people because other people, the majority of people aren't in great shape. So when you're trying to get into better shape and other people aren't, and you're around these other people, they don't understand your goals because they're not doing them themselves. So when you say, hey, I'm not going to go out and eat with you guys because I have goals of getting into better shape and I'm going to eat this meal that I made myself, they are going to continuously try to keep swaying you off that route and trying to get you to come out with them. If you say no to them enough, they will understand that those goals actually mean a lot to you and that you're serious about achieving those goals. So the more times you can say no to these people, eventually they will stop trying to force you to get out and away from those goals. And so that they will now respect you a lot more. You'll gain a lot more respect. And that's kind of something that you're after at the end of the day, right? You're trying to get into better shape because you want to be more respected. At least that's how it was for me. So you're going to build more discipline. You're going to gain more respect. And all of this is going to lead to you getting better results because the more times that you can say no to those cheat meals, to those nights out, to drinking a bunch of alcohol and feeling like shit the next day, you're going to instead spend that time in the gym, eating their food, getting better recovery, getting better sleep. You're going to see a lot better results in the long term. And if you guys take these 5 things that I taught you in this video and you actually track your progress, you train hard, you get better recovery, you focus on your nutrition, and you gain the ability to say no when people are trying to take you off your route towards your goals, you're going to see significantly faster progress, and you're going to see a lot better progress than I did, than other people do. So, and if you guys have more questions on how to improve your physique, even after this video, I want you to click the first link in the description. You can book a call with me. We can talk about your goals, your struggles, and if you're a good fit for the program, I'd love to have you on the team. We can get you in the best shape of your life. And with that being said, if you guys enjoyed today's video, drop me a like, hit that subscribe button. I post videos every single week like this and trying to provide as much value as possible to help people get into the best shape of their life. So I'll see you guys in the next video.